Listen to me right now. It's time to stop waiting for people to understand your vision. It's time to stop begging for approval from those who were never meant to go where you're going. If they don't see your worth, if they don't support your dreams, if they keep doubting you, let them go. There comes a time in life when you must recognize that the vision placed inside you was never meant to be understood by everyone around you. It wasn't given to your family, your friends, or your coworkers. It was given to you. And because of that, you will often find yourself in situations where people don't support you, don't believe in you, and don't see what you see. But that does not mean your vision is invalid. It simply means it was never theirs to carry in the first place. Too many people waste years of their lives waiting for validation, hoping that someone will finally say, "I see it too." But the truth is, some people will never see it. Not because it isn't real, but because it was never meant for them. You weren't called to fit into their expectations. You weren't designed to stay in the comfort of what they understand. The very fact that they don't get it is proof that your vision is bigger than their perspective. And that's exactly why you cannot afford to wait for their approval before you move forward. The people around you may mean well, but they are often operating from their own fears, their own limitations, and their own experiences. When you share your vision with someone who has never built anything significant, they will naturally respond with doubt. Not because they want to hold you back, but because they have no reference point for what you are trying to accomplish. Their inability to see your potential has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their own beliefs. And if you allow their disbelief to shake your confidence, you will sabotage your own destiny. You will shrink your dreams to fit their small minds. You will start second-guessing yourself, thinking maybe they're right, maybe you're not capable, maybe this isn't meant for you. But let me remind you, the only person who needs to believe in your vision is you. Because when you believe, you take action. And when you take action, results start to manifest. It's not your job to convince people to understand your calling. Your purpose is not up for debate. You were created for something greater, something that doesn't fit inside the limited thinking of those who choose to stay comfortable. And when you truly embrace that, you stop wasting time explaining yourself to people who were never meant to be part of your journey. You stop asking for permission to do what you know you were born to do. You stop hesitating and start building. There will be times when you feel alone, times when it seems like no one supports you, when the people you expected to stand by you are the very ones questioning your every move. That's when you have to remind yourself that isolation isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign that you are stepping into something greater. The higher you climb, the fewer people you will find at your level. And that's okay. Elevation requires separation. You cannot let small-minded people talk you out of a big destiny. If you keep seeking validation from those who don't have the capacity to see your vision, you will stay trapped in their limitations. But when you fully commit to your purpose, when you stop waiting for permission and start operating in faith, doors will begin to open. The right people will come into your life. The right opportunities will align. But none of that happens until you take ownership of what has already been placed inside you. No one else needs to understand it. No one else needs to approve of it. Your vision is yours alone. There will come a time in your life when you realize that the very things keeping you comfortable are also the things keeping you stuck, the relationships you've held on to, the environments you've stayed in, and the conversations you've entertained. Some of these things are not meant to go with you to the next level. Growth is not about adding more to your life. It is often about removing what no longer serves your purpose. And while separation may feel uncomfortable at first, it is a necessary part of stepping into the person you were created to be. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that not everyone is meant to continue with you on your journey. Some people are only meant to walk with you for a season. But when you try to hold on to seasonal people in a permanent way, you create unnecessary resistance in your own life. You start feeling drained, frustrated, and conflicted, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you are trying to force something that is no longer in alignment with your purpose. The sooner you recognize this, the sooner you can make the necessary changes to elevate. Growth will demand that you change your environment, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. You cannot keep having the same conversations with people who don't challenge you to think bigger. You cannot keep surrounding yourself with individuals who are content with mediocrity while you are striving for excellence. And you cannot expect to grow if you are unwilling to detach from the habits, routines, and influences that keep you in the same cycle. The problem is many people fear separation because they mistake it for loneliness. But being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. There's a difference between isolation and elevation. When you separate yourself from negativity, distractions, and small thinking, you are not isolating yourself. You are positioning yourself for something greater. And when you start moving differently, you will begin to attract people who align with the version of yourself you are becoming, not the version you used to be. There will be people who do not understand your decision to grow. They will question why you no longer engage in meaningless gossip, why you no longer settle for excuses, why you no longer tolerate negativity. And the reason is simple. You are no longer available for the things that drain your energy and distract you from your purpose. Growth changes your priorities. What once seemed normal now feels uncomfortable, and what once felt comfortable now feels limiting. This is a sign that you are evolving. Every person who has ever achieved something great had to go through a season of separation. They had to step away from the crowd. They had to stop entertaining distractions. They had to distance themselves from people who were not willing to grow. And while that process may not always feel good, it is always necessary. Because you cannot become the person you were meant to be while holding on to people, places, and mindsets that are keeping you small. The reality is some people will only respect you as long as you stay at their level. The moment you start to rise, they will begin to question you, doubt you, and even resent you. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. And instead of growing with you, they will try to pull you back to where they are. This is why you must be intentional about who you allow in your space. You need to surround yourself with people who celebrate your growth, not those who feel threatened by it. If you truly want to reach your full potential, you have to be willing to let go of anything that no longer aligns with your purpose. That means outgrowing certain mindsets, distancing yourself from negativity, and making decisions that may not be popular, but are necessary for your success. Because at the end of the day, growth requires separation. Too many people spend their lives pouring energy into relationships, friendships, and connections that do nothing but drain them. They invest time in people who don't reciprocate, support individuals who never show up for them, and entertain conversations that add no real value to their growth, and then they wonder why they feel exhausted, unmotivated, and stuck in the same place year after year. The truth is, when you constantly give your energy to the wrong people, you rob yourself of the power needed to build the life you are meant to live. Some people are in your life not because they add to you, but because they take from you. They always need something, always have a problem, always expect you to be there, but when the roles are reversed, they are nowhere to be found. These are the people who will drain you emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. And the more you give, the more they take. Until one day you look up and realize you have nothing left for yourself. This is why you must be intentional about where you place your energy, because not everyone deserves access to it. There are people who will only keep you around as long as you serve their interests. The moment you stop catering to them, the moment you start focusing on your own growth, they will begin to distance themselves or criticize you for changing. And this is where most people struggle, because they don't want to lose relationships, even the toxic ones. They hold on not because the connection is valuable, but because they fear the discomfort of letting go. But you have to ask yourself, what is the real cost of keeping people in your life who do not align with your future? Every moment you spend trying to prove your worth to someone who does not appreciate it is a moment wasted. Every conversation you entertain with someone who constantly doubts you is energy lost. And every time you allow yourself to be pulled into someone else's negativity, you are giving them power over your emotions, your focus, and ultimately your destiny. You have to decide that your time and energy are too valuable to be wasted on people who do not contribute to your purpose. You cannot force someone to respect your value. You cannot make someone see your worth if they are committed to misunderstanding you. And you cannot keep setting yourself on fire to keep people warm who would never do the same for you. The sooner you recognize who is truly in your corner and who is simply using your presence for their convenience, the sooner you can redirect your energy toward the things that actually matter, your growth, your goals, and your God-given purpose. It is not your responsibility to carry people who refuse to carry themselves. You cannot fix, save, or elevate someone who does not want to change. And the more time you spend trying to uplift the wrong people, the less time you have to build the life you were meant to live. The energy you are wasting on the wrong people is the same energy that could be used to create opportunities, strengthen your mindset, and step into your greatness. From the moment you were born, greatness was already inside you. It was never something you had to earn, prove, or beg for. It was placed in you by design. But somewhere along the way, the world conditioned you to believe that you needed permission to step into it. You were taught to wait for validation, to seek approval, to make sure other people were comfortable with your ambitions before you pursued them. And because of that, too many people spend their lives hesitating, shrinking, and playing small, hoping that one day someone will give them the green light to finally be who they were meant to be. The truth is, no one is coming to grant you access to the life you desire. No one is going to hand you an official document that says, now you are allowed to be successful. Now you are allowed to step into your purpose. That moment will never come because it was never necessary in the first place. You don't need a certificate of approval from society. You don't need a panel of judges to declare you worthy. The only person who needs to believe in your greatness is you. And the moment you recognize that, everything changes. So many people spend years waiting for the right time, waiting for the right support, waiting for someone to believe in them before they believe in themselves. But waiting is just another form of fear. It is a way to delay action, to avoid responsibility, to stay comfortable in a place where failure is not a risk. And the people who wait the longest are often the ones who never move at all. They watch opportunities pass them by. They see others stepping into their calling, and they wonder why they feel stuck. But the truth is they were never stuck. They were just waiting for permission that was never required. The moment you stop waiting for validation is the moment you start reclaiming your power. You stop asking people if your dreams make sense. You stop trying to convince others to believe in your vision. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand what you were called to do. And when you release yourself from the need for approval, you become unstoppable. Because now, instead of looking around to see who supports you, you move forward knowing that the only confirmation you ever needed was already inside you. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that is okay. Some people will doubt you, not because you aren't capable, but because they don't have the ability to see beyond their own limitations. They will question you, criticize you, and tell you to slow down, not because they are looking out for you, but because your boldness exposes their hesitation. But their disbelief has nothing to do with your destiny. Their lack of vision does not mean you should stop building, and their fear does not mean you should abandon your faith. You were created to be great, not when someone else decides, not when the timing feels perfect, not when you have all the support you thought you needed. You were created to be great now. And the only thing standing between you and the life you desire is the belief that you have the right to claim it. Everything changes the moment you make a decision, not when you think about it, not when you wish for it, not when you talk about it, but when you decide. Too many people spend their lives waiting for the right opportunity, the right motivation, the right circumstances, never realizing that the power to elevate has always been in their hands. Elevation is not something that just happens to you. It is something you choose. It is a commitment, a mindset, a refusal to stay the same. And until you decide that you are done playing small, done making excuses, and done living below your potential, nothing in your life will change. The biggest enemy of elevation is indecision. Indecision keeps you stuck. It makes you hesitate, second guess, and procrastinate on the very things that could transform your life. Every time you delay action, every time you question whether you are ready, every time you allow fear to dictate your choices, you are pushing your breakthrough further away. Growth does not come to those who wait. It comes to those who move. And if you are not willing to make the decision to elevate, you will always find yourself watching others rise while you remain in the same place. Making the decision to elevate means accepting that the old version of you can no longer exist. It means letting go of old habits, old environments, and even old relationships that no longer align with where you are going. It requires discipline, focus, and the willingness to step into discomfort, because elevation is not easy. It will challenge you, stretch you, and demand more from you than you have ever given before. But the alternative, staying the same, living with regret, knowing you could have done more, is far worse than any temporary discomfort you will feel along the way. People who elevate are not the most talented, the most privileged, or the most experienced. They are simply the ones who decided that they would not settle. They are the ones who refused to make excuses. They are the ones who took action when others hesitated. Elevation is not about luck or timing. It is about intention. It is about waking up every single day with a commitment to grow, to improve, to get closer to the person you were created to be. And it does not happen by accident. It happens because you made up your mind that you will rise no matter what it takes. There will be people who don't understand your decision to elevate. They will question why you are changing, why you no longer engage in the same conversations, why you have become so focused. And that's because elevation makes people uncomfortable. It reminds them of everything they have refused to do in their own lives. But their comfort is not your responsibility. You were not created to stay at the same level just to make others feel secure. You were created to grow, to lead, to inspire, and to step fully into your purpose. And if that means outgrowing people along the way, then so be it. At some point, you have to decide that enough is enough. Enough waiting, enough overthinking, enough settling for less than you deserve. When you finally make the decision to elevate, everything around you begins to shift. Your mindset shifts, your circle shifts, your opportunities shift, but none of it happens until you commit fully, unapologetically, and with the certainty that no matter what stands in your way, you will rise. Confidence is not something you wait for, it is something you walk in. Too many people hesitate, waiting to feel ready before they take the next step. They convince themselves that once they gain more experience, once they receive more validation, once they have every answer, then they will finally move forward. But confidence does not come from waiting, it comes from action. It is built in motion, not in hesitation. The longer you stand still, the more your doubts grow. But the moment you decide to move, the moment you take that first step, you begin to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. The problem is that most people allow fear to dictate their progress. They let the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, and the fear of judgment keep them from stepping into the life they were meant to live. But fear is a liar. It tells you that you are not ready, that you are not worthy, that you do not have what it takes, and if you believe it, you will stay stuck. But the truth is, fear only has power over those who hesitate. The moment you push past it, the moment you decide that fear will not control your destiny, it begins to lose its grip. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. You do not need anyone else's permission to believe in yourself. You do not need the approval of others to validate your worth. Too often people look for external validation before they give themselves permission to succeed. They wait for someone to tell them they are good enough, smart enough, talented enough. But if you need someone else to believe in you before you take action, you will always be at the mercy of their opinions. Real confidence comes when you recognize that your value is not determined by anyone else. You decide who you are, you decide what you are capable of, and when you walk in that truth, nothing can stop you. Moving forward with confidence means accepting that failure is part of the process. You cannot allow the fear of making mistakes to keep you from taking action. Every successful person has failed. Every great leader has stumbled. The difference is they did not let failure define them. They did not let a setback become a stopping point. Confidence is not built in comfort. It is built when you refuse to quit, when you learn from your failures, and when you keep going even when the path is uncertain. People will try to project their own doubts onto you. They will tell you to be careful, to slow down, to reconsider. Not because they want to see you fail, but because they have never had the courage to do what you are doing. Your confidence will make others uncomfortable because it reminds them of everything they have not done. but their fears are not your burden to carry. You are not created to play small just so others feel comfortable. You were created to move boldly, to lead, to break barriers, and to set new standards. And the only way to do that is by stepping forward even when the path is unclear. Confidence is a decision. It is the choice to believe in yourself even when the odds are against you. It is the choice to take action even when fear tries to hold you back. It is the choice to trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by as long as you have the courage to pursue it. No one can give you confidence. No one can hand it to you. You must claim it for yourself, walk in it daily, and refuse to let anything or anyone shake it.